Is Mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku really the best TUR? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan Battle video. In today's video, we are bringing back the TUR tier list. And in this video, we are going to break down just where exactly the Mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku fits on our previous tier list. For those who might remember, right, the way we structured our tier list previously is we created two new types of tier lists, right? One tier list here for long events and a second for short events. I'll link the previous tier list in the description so you can see the full detailed description of each one, but more or less we qualify each as such. All right, for both long and short events, we look at three things. Number one, we look at consistency. What is the unit's job, right? What are they supposed to do? Do they do that well? And do they do that often? Next, we look at versatility, right? How many different teams can the unit be used on? How many different roles can they serve depending on the team? And yes, are they able to be used in both long and short content? And then finally, we look at power. Sometimes raw power is all you need. And does the unit have that? And if so, does it justify any other flaws they may or may not have and push them further up the tier list? So we'll actually start with the short event tier list. So that is this tier list here, and we'll sort of just do a brief explanation of each of the tiers and how they're ranked before we talk about where to put Goku on this list. Like I said earlier in the video, the basic structure is we are moving away from your typical 1 through 10 top 10 units in Dokkan, because it just, I feel that doesn't work anymore. There's too many different types of contents. There's too many different types of fights where any one unit can get blasted for no reason just because they weren't made for that fight. So I think it's better to structure our tier list around a sort of Z through D, right? Your typical tier list that you would see in most games as opposed to a top 10, right? This gives us a better idea of how units are performing overall rather than a strict 1 through 10 structure. Because as we all know, when we look at 1 through 10s, most people, as soon as you get to 10, blank out on anything after that. So I think it's a good idea that this gives us an idea of sort of where units can be structured. So with that in mind, let's talk about rank D. So it should be obvious that anything at rank D means that they are released within the last year, but they are not good in short content. What you're looking at here is our short content tier list, right? So here you have the likes of Ginyu, right, Janemba, and Goku. 3 easy A's essentially, right? And makes sense, right? They're stackers, they're designed to stack. Goku can get a little bit away with the short events, but it's still highly reliant on dodge. Ginyu doesn't build up quick enough. Janemba does have some good defense early on, but he loses it quickly after a bunch of hits, and then he's not going to be dealing much damage because you can't even transform him until turn 6. So that's why D is structured the way it is. C is structured the way it is because, I mean, as bad as Kaioken, like C is basically a tier list I created separate for Kaioken Goku here because, like, I mean, we all know how he is, right? He's pretty rough, but in short events he's definitely better to be used than those in rank D. So I had to make a whole set tiers list separate for him because I don't think he quite reaches who we have at B, which is, right, our Super Saiyan 3 Vegetas, right? Both the Easy A and the DAIMA Vegeta, along with STR Gogeta, who is very helpful in short fights, especially ones that you can utilize attack lowering. Defense can be a little scary, which is why B is structured the way it is, right? The units are good in short events, but defense can, that leaves a little bit to be desired. A are units that are sort of the middle ground. They are great options for short events, but not intentionally designed for it. Think units like Hit. Hit is not really a short event character, but his turn, if you can get his turn 3 transformation, works very well in those because you get a free usher on that turn. Vegeta, same thing, right? Needs a little bit of build, but for the most part, you're going to be using him in short events. but he does need to build up. Pycon is just sort of middle of the road. He's neither good nor bad. Quite underrated if you ask me, but you know, he's very much middle of the road for short events. Same with STR Cell, Janemba, and AGL Vegito. All great options, you know, Magneto aside, you know, they're all great options for short events, and you know, are all going to work rather well, actually dependent. And then, of course, S rank are all units that are extremely viable for short rank content. They all have utility that work well in short rank content, whether it's some type of dodge ability, build up, some type of counter, or orb changing, that all help really build up those short events. And then, of course, Z rank are our modern TURs and super easy A's, as well as easy A's, that just dominate short events. So in our previous tier list, this was the Baby, Tao, Kid Goku, Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and Omega. So I will say, before dropping DAIMA GOKU, I was pretty confident in this list, but DAIMA GOKU does so much for the teams that he is on that it almost makes me want to move a few things around. So it should go without saying, DAIMA GOKU pops right up here at the top. He is easily, like, if I were to just rank everyone in Z here, right, he would probably be number one out of everyone in Z, right? So with that said, right, he's doing so much for everyone here that the teams that they're on, I think he could fit, he could actually move some units up, right? Because DAIMA GOKU, right, one, he's got power for short fights, right? Turn one's a little iffy, but once you hit turn two, once you hit that, or not turn three, but rather second appearance, which is turn three or turn 4 or turn 5 if he started turn 1, right, he's got an extreme amount of power, you know, dropping 70 to 100 mil depending on your dupe level on his super attacks, and then of course, right, his active skill. He has a Ki Blast counter, which counters pretty much all the major fights that are short fights, and then on top of that, having crit, dodge, the whole 9 yards. But he also has support, so this is where versatility comes in, right? He's giving support to, granted, Dragon Ball Seekers or Demonic Power, but those are pretty common categories now, right? You wouldn't think Demonic Power is, but if we think ahead, right, Demonic Power is Gohans, right? And there's a lot of Gohans on the racket for EZA coming up soon, such as the AGL Gohan down here, who we'll talk about in a minute, and the superhero Gohan and Piccolo, who are very likely to EZA very soon, if not by New Year's, then by anniversary. So, right, that type of support is going to go a long way, so much so that it brings up other units that are on the category. And then, of course, like I said, raw power he has in spades. So with that, I think DAIMA GOKU more than justifies his position in rank Z up here. Now, because of his position and what he does, there's actually a few units that are on his category that I want to move up from previous positions. Number one, because of the support and everything that he's doing for short fights, I actually want to move Kid Goku up into the Z tier of support. He was previously S tiers because it was kind of iffy, even though he worked really well on Kid Goku's team. It was still kind of iffy depending on the fight, but now, right, there should be no question. If you run him on Kid Goku, or on Mini Goku's team, right, he becomes, not only is he a monster, he's also support stacking with the DAIMA GOKU, with the Glorio, with the Super Saiyan DAIMA GOKU, with the Piccolo, right? All of that support stacking coming in together, plus damage reduction support. It's the chef's kiss of the perfect team. And so I do kind of want to move him up because of that. Another one I want to move up into S tier, and this isn't necessarily because of DAIMA GOKU, but because of more testing with Cell on Omega's team with STR Cell. A lot of people pointed out in the last video that maybe I was underrating AGL Cell a little bit, even for short fights. And so I went and I tested him out, and you know what? I think you guys were right. Those who said I was underrating AGL Cell, I think he does deserve to move up. Now, you guys are going to call me crazy for this last change, and I don't think it's crazy. It's more of a return to form, because I have said since the beginning of the year that DAIMA Vegeta is actually incredible incredibly good, and massively underrated by a lot of people, right? Even before his equips, right? Even before the release of DAIMA GOKU with the support, right? The support, right? He was already kind of pretty good, right? And then now the support that's on the new DAIMA team takes him to a whole new level. That, you know, I mean, to be fair, should have been what he was at on release, but nonetheless, he is there now. And I actually, honestly, having used him now in Special Battle against Rose and Zamasu, I honestly think he can fit right here in A. I don't want to move him up to S. I wouldn't move him up to S. I really want to move him up to S, but he's still a victim of locking, and Rose and Zamasu do that. But I definitely think he deserves a spot in A, right? Because if you don't have to worry about locking, he's an excellent slot 1. He will slot 1 every single fight for you in the special battle. It's literally just the fact that if he gets locked in the slot 2 is where you're going to run into issues in Rose and Zamasu or Omega. Like, that's the only problem. Otherwise, with the support, right, he's taking Gohan all the way up to turn 3. Haven't quite got, I can't say turn 4 because I never get to turn 4. I always finish the fight on the 4th appearance, which he's usually not on, right? So it's a non-issue. We'll safely put him in A. So that is our short event tier list, and I'm pretty confident with the shifts that we have made here. I don't really think I would shift anyone else. Everyone else is still here. I will say that Gohan, he hasn't EZA'd yet, as of me recording this video, and we don't have his details yet, but he's probably going to fall into here. I'm not going to lie, he's probably going to be a long event character, right? Just looking at what his passive was before. He was a stacker before. He was designed to build up over time. He was restricted to heavenly events, although I'm sure now they'll open it to like demonic power or something as well. But he was a stacker before. He's going to be a stacker again. So I'm not anticipating him being anything better than what he was before. So with that, that's our tier list for short events. Let's jump over to our long events, right? So long events, once again, the tier list is structured exactly the same. We didn't have too many in D for this one, but that's also because I didn't have to make a special category specifically for separating the long event characters out. Because the thing is most short event characters can also be used in long events to a degree. A little bit less useful, but they can be used there, whereas the opposite is usually not true. Kid Goku and Hit, I feel like and Baby are like the few exceptions to that. But with that, let's take a look. So C tier are pretty much, I mean, you're not going to get much use out of them in long events. Pycon, I would love to say, would be good for long events, but you start to run into issues with his defense the longer things go on in that fight, to make it where the Ghost Usher almost isn't worth bringing. But for shorter fights, I'm telling you, he's a really underrated unit. DAIMA Vegeta, obviously it goes without saying, right? Like, he's a very much a short event character. He builds up for 3 turns and that's it. That's all you're getting out of him. He's not good, and so when you're dealing with bosses who are building up over time, he's going to struggle a little bit there. This is especially true for like the Broly fight, who gets even stronger than the Jiren fights, which he was just kind of barely hanging there for. Omega, Yamcha, right? All of these guys, right? They're very much short event characters. They don't last very long in long events, especially Omega, really, because he has like no defense. And so the longer a fight goes on, where the attack is building up, the harder time he's going to have. Our B tier are options for long events. Ginyu is in B tier despite being a stacker because he is near impossible to transform, and that's kind of the problem with him, right? His stacking just doesn't keep up, right? Like, some of these non-stacking characters are doing as much damage as Ginyu is by the time you transform him, and it's kind of an issue for him, right? He just doesn't stack fast enough. And then Janemba, same thing. Janemba, honestly, I would probably move up. I thought more about it since the last tier list. All right, yeah, and having used him in the Broly fight, he actually does really well there on Baby's team. So, yeah, I would definitely probably move him up here. But Kaioken, Vegeta, I mean, even though Kaioken does stack attack, right, the defense leaves a lot to be desired, especially since you're probably not running any good teams for him anyway. So, Moving on to the A tier. A tier is just middle of the road long event characters, right? AGL Cell does sort of drop off, but most fights he can find use in. They aren't too terribly long that he has an issue, even in the ones that cancel dodge, right? Because especially now on Omega's team. Same thing goes for the Goku and Gohan. Our S tier, right? These are top tier units for long events, and Tao, despite being sort of he's not really a short event character, he's just a character. He can kind of go in either event, and so that's why, honestly, I mean, you could make an argument to move him up into Z because of that, but it's just in the longer events, he's really not putting out that much because it's just the single attack, and where for longer events, you do want characters who can do more attacks. Hits is mostly just due to, while he does stack attack very quickly, his defense doesn't quite keep up, and he does become dodge or die towards the end of a lot of long events, but you know, he's still very, very useful. And then, of course, the Z tier, these guys dominate long events. Baby has no issue in pretty much any long event due to his guard, due to his dodge, due to his giant form being able to get rid of supers. Gogeta, despite not stacking, right, his build-up gets him to enough points where, like, he can even hang in Festival. Like, that's how good it is. And then, of course, Kid Goku is probably the best long event TUR we've had. So, that begs the question, where does Goku go, right? Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I had a tough one placing this because I've used him in Festival with relative success, all right? A lot of very, very dependent on Vegeta and Trunks, obviously. And I've used him in the Broly fight for long events. The Jiren fights he kind of also struggles with a bit, but not as much as the Broly fight. But the Broly fight's a whole other beast due to the attack increase and the team moving kind of slow by the point. But the thing with Goku is, right, as we know, right, Goku drops off after this turn 4. Not a lot, but enough that you do see the impact in long events. But otherwise, right, when we talk about consistency, right, he's going to still be doing consistently the damage, right? If you run him in Festival with Vegeta, double Vegeta and Trunks lead, right, you're going to be seeing some pretty decent numbers out of him by the end, right? Like easily 100 mil without items, even more if you decide to proc the items. For events like Jiren, like Broly, or the Shadow Dragons events, he could be a little iffy, right? Like he's going to cap out at like 60 million or so, maybe 70 million if you got some good attack support going, but he's going to cap out around there for the long events, which isn't terrible, honestly, right? It's not that bad. It's not what you want to see for him, right? Because you want him to get that maximum short events, but it's still pretty good. So for consistency, I gotta kind of give it to him. He's got it. He's got the consistency. For versatility, that's a tough one, right? Because I feel like really the only way he can rock long events is either double Vegeta and Trunks or giant 8 power, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but for long events you definitely don't want to be running 2 of him. Not to say that it's bad, there's enough support that he's giving, plus if you toss in Glorio or Piccolo, you could probably make it work, but then you're relying on your secondary rotation to deal most of the damage in your long events, especially as those HPs increase. So yeah, it's kind of a tough one there. So the power is still there. It's not as great as it is in short events, but the power is still there. He still has power. So I would probably place him, if not in the front of S, then probably still in Z, honestly, because while he's not doing what he's doing as effectively in long events, just like how Baby isn't doing what he does as effectively in short events, he's still doing it well enough that he is a very viable and great, phenomenal even, option to bring to those fights. Like, he's still going to be doing very well. He's still going to be providing to the team, and I think that's something worth noting. For long events, I don't think his support adds much that I would probably shift any of the current categories. Maybe pushing DAIMA GOKU up, but even then, I don't really think so. I do think it solidifies Glorio where Glorio is at, though. I will say that, right? It definitely solidifies Glorio at the front of S. I'll definitely say that. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident with Goku here. He's still in Z tier, even for long events. He's just that good. He's the best TUR we've had all year. I mean, I know that's not saying much, but it's really crazy to think about when you consider that here we are in November, and he is quite literally the best TUR. No one, I mean, Tao maybe comes close, but no non-EZA TUR is coming anywhere close to what this guy is doing for the teams that he's doing it for. So, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, what do you think of our tier list here? Again, this is my tier list. This is subjective based on my criteria: power, versatility, and consistency. I think DAIMA GOKU has all three of those things in spade, and whether you're looking at long events or short events, he's going to do what he does no matter what. So that's it for the video, guys. If nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.